Hey, this is Craig, the Pool Man with Pool Specialist, and today we have a short video for you on how to clean a Pentair Quad DE filter. These are a fantastic filter. I really like this. It's my favorite DE filter. It's easy to clean. It does an excellent job filtering water, and the only negative with it is you really can't backwash it. And even if you put a multi-port on it, the backwash valve, you can put water through it backwards, but it really doesn't backwash like a normal DE filter. But other than that, I love it. It's a great filter and very effective. Alright, here we are. This is our Quad DE filter. This is the big boy. This is the biggest one you can get. That is actually my preference. It's a little bit more expensive than the, say, 60 square foot one, but the results are a whole lot better. You have a lot less issues with having to clean it so often. It's just a much better idea to spend a little bit of extra money. As far as the width goes, it's the same width. The only thing you'll notice different is the height. Okay, so the first thing that we've done is we have closed off the valves to the pump and on the return. And we are below grade in this case, so we would have to do that. In the other case, you would still want to do that if you're above grade, just to prevent the pump from siphoning down and have to reprime it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up our air bleeder valve on this, and then we take our multi-port and we just put it in like the winterization mode, and that way we can start draining this filter out through the multi-port. I'm a true believer in putting multi-ports on DE filters, and quite honestly, even on cartridge filters. The reason why is through servicing a pool, there's a lot of times when you need the functionality of the multi-port, such as if you're vacuuming in the beginning of the year and you've got very fine waste on the bottom of the pool, rather than clog the filter, what you do is you put it on waste mode and you vac to waste. That's one reason. Another reason is if you don't have an overflow drain in the pool and the water gets too high, now you have a means of wasting the water, or getting the water out of the pool. So the little bit of extra money that it takes to put on a backwash valve, there are so many benefits to it. If the filter gets clogged, I can put it in recirculate mode and I can still run my pool. And in the case of checking out a salt system or even a heater, to see, oh gee, the flow light isn't coming on, or the heater doesn't think there's enough flow in it. So now I can put my filter on recirculate mode and determine whether I have a clogged filter and there's really nothing wrong with the rest of my equipment. So imperative, go ahead, spend the extra money and put the backwash valve on it. Okay, at this point I'm going to hand this over to Lamar, my main guy here, and he's going to give you a demonstration of how to take this filter apart, and then we're going to do a quick demonstration of actually how to clean it. Lamar's taking over for me at this point, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to remove the drain plug, which is in the front of the filter right underneath what we have, the multi-port. Go ahead, Lamar, show them how this is done. You'll need a pair of channel locks to get it started, and then once you get it started, it should come off pretty easily. And you can see that the water just comes pouring out of there. Once you got the filter drained, then at that point it will be easier to take the band off and pull the top off. Okay, to take the band off, you're going to need a 7/8 inch socket, preferably a deep socket, and it's easier if you use a ratchet, simply because you're going to be turning this a lot. If you're doing that with a wrench, it just becomes annoying. Alright, you can just leave the band down and we'll go ahead and lift that top off. And there you have your 4 filters. Go ahead and remove the top part. This is a tight thing. And now we can pull each one of those filters out individually and clean them correctly. Make sure you don't misplace that piece. That is your screen, and we're going to have to clean that screen off. And yank them out. So inspect it, make sure that it doesn't have any slits in it, and that it's going to seal up good for you. Also, if there's any additional D in the bottom of that filter, you're probably going to want to hose that out after you clean up your cartridges. Alright, so we are outside here in a natural area. This is usually the best place to hose that DE off. It'll actually help kill any bugs in the natural area, and we'll just wash it into the ground, so it'll be ineffective. But go ahead and you're just going to spray in the direction of the pleats, going up and down, and turn it. You're going to use the full force of it to try to get everything nice and cleaned out. You can see that the dirt comes off relatively easy as the DE comes off the filter. Okay, we got our quad filters reinstalled. Make sure they're secure to the header on the bottom of the filter. And then we cleaned out our screen, and of course we're going to put that on the breather tube on the top of the filter. And you want to make sure that you inspect that so that it doesn't have any holes in it, and we did that when we cleaned it, because that would allow the DE to pass through and actually get into the pool or the spa. Next, we're going to install the top header. And make sure that those are all secure and in place. And then finally there's a spring that goes on the top of the filter. And then our filter top. Make sure everything's nice and clean. And then go ahead and close your bleeder valve on the top of that. And that way you can make sure that you face your pressure gauge in the correct direction so that you can conveniently read it. Now for the fun part where we actually reassemble the band on the filter. And of course, wherever you put that nut for that filter, make sure it's easy to access and convenient to access, because you're probably going to be the one who comes back and cleans it the next time. So don't make your life difficult. Okay, once you have the band back on, and of course, don't forget the washer that goes on first. And then the spring faces the washer. Okay, last but not least, we get to put the plug in to the bottom of the filter. And when you do this, only make it hand tight, because you will have to remove that plug again. We're going to go ahead and put our filter into rinse mode. We always want to charge the DE filter in rinse mode. That way, if any of the DE were to leak through, it winds up leaking through into the backwash line. And of course, we need to go ahead and turn all our valves on. Okay, so we've got our filter together. We have it in rinse mode. And now what we want to do is we want to open up our bleeder valve. That way we've got everything coming into the filter. Okay, we're up on deck now. And of course you can see that orange cup that Lamar's got hanging off the bucket. That is 1 pound of DE. The way that it worked was many years ago when the service techs were doing DE filters is they would take a 1 pound chock full of nuts can and that would equal 1 pound of DE. So not a whole lot of 1 pound chock full of nuts cans left in the world, but now we have these plastic cups that measure the same thing out. So each DE filter is going to take a different amount of DE. So, you know, look on the side of the DE filter and you'll see it may take 6 pounds, it may take 8 pounds, it may only take 4 pounds. It depends on the size of the filter itself. And what we did is we went ahead and measured that in. As you notice, Lamar's got his N95 mask on, not because he's got COVID issues, but because he doesn't want to be breathing in that DE. The DE is a carcinogenic, and that will coat your lungs the same way it coats a filter. And that will not be good because it'll clog up your breathing the same way that the filter gets clogged up from the dirt. So you never ever want to be dealing with DE without that mask on. So save your COVID-19 masks, and they'll serve a great purpose for your DE. At this point, we've measured out the correct amount of DE for the quad DE filter that we have, and we're going to just go ahead and mix the water into the bucket with the DE. And of course, you know, you need to have your mask on when you're doing this because as you're pouring that water in, that DE, the fine mist of it will come up, and you do not want to be breathing that in. And we want to stir it up. You know, you can use whatever's handy. We happen to have a regular brush to stir it up and get everything mixed up really good. Okay, once you've got this all mixed up, go ahead and put that brush in something where it's not going to get contaminated, and we can rinse it out in a little bit. So once you have it all mixed up, you just slowly pour the DE into the filter, and it'll get sucked into the filter, coat the grids, and do its function. Okay, that concludes our video on cleaning a Pentair Quad DE filter. If you enjoyed it, drop us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you for watching, and have a great day.